Why are you eating, man? We're about to film a video.
I'm hungry.
Okay, but, I mean, can't you just eat hot chip in between takes?
Food comes first, man. Give me like a minute. I'm gonna enjoy these.
It's gonna be a rough day.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Bro, why are you chewing with your mouth open still?
Before we get started, I'd like to remind you to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you enjoy watching our content, show us some love by liking the video, and ring the bell to make sure you get notified whenever we drop new content. We appreciate you all.
Hey guys, Kevin here from Airsoft GI, and today I'm going to be talking about why I think AEGs are the best platform for Airsoft. Now, some of you may be saying, but wait, this is an HPA gun. You have an HPA line here. I know, guys, okay? I started out with an HPA gun as my first gun, and I know that might be backwards to some of you, but to explain why I prefer AEGs, we have to start from the beginning. Of course, I do need to say a disclaimer. I know some of you are already using AEGs as your base platform, but if you're running HPA as your platform, just saying this is my opinion, and maybe this may help you to convert back to AEG, or for some of you AEG users to convert to HPA. I'm just laying out the facts of my experience, so just take it with a grain of salt, but disclaimer. So like I said, we gotta start from the very beginning, and the first M4 that I ever had was a Polarstar jack inside of a G&G combat machine. I did buy it used from an online seller, and it was a pretty good deal, and I just wanted to get into the M4 platform, so that was the first purchase I ever made. Now, talking about running HPA as my first platform, it was super simple. I just had to, plug in a line, put in a little tiny Polarstar battery, and I was good to go. And honestly, I didn't have to do any maintenance with it either, so it just made my life easier and just made me kind of get familiar with the M4 platform without having to worry about the technical side. So one of the very first things that I noticed about running HPA that I liked a lot was the trigger response. And as some of you HPA users may know, the trigger response on an HPA system is unrivaled. It's instantaneous, it's very crisp and snappy. Since you're not waiting for gears to pull back a piston to push forward, you're just kind of triggering the trigger board and having air go through the inner barrel. And that just resulted in a very satisfying trigger pull. It also resulted in a very fast trigger pull and a high rate of fire, since you are able to basically feather without any delay. And of course, the performance aspect of it, I loved being able to fine-tune my FPS exactly to where I need it to be just by turning a dial. I don't have to dive into the gearbox or anything. And that just made it a very simple, easy plug-and-play solution to whatever system I was running.
Honest question.
So,
Have you ever full auto mag dumped someone? At
never.
You sure about that?
Never.
It's the
I don't
greatest,
even full auto, take that off.
greatest temptation.
That's for plebs. The last aspect that I really enjoy about running HPA systems is the consistency. So since you are getting the same, in theory, the same amount of air through your shots every single time, that should mean that your BBs should travel the same exact amount of distance every time, and just kind of leads to better accuracy overall and a more consistent performance out of your gun. So you're probably wondering, Kevin, why would you ever choose something besides HPA system? It sounds pretty good, right? There's no drawbacks. No. Let me tell you the drawbacks right now. One of the biggest cons about running HPA, for me at least, was having to fill up my tank every time I wanted to play. And honestly, I'm pretty lazy, so I don't really want to go to an off-site shop to fill up my tank. And if I don't, then I show up at the field and I have to pay for their all-day air, which costs another like 15 or 20 bucks depending on where you play. And it just got annoying after a while, and yeah, I was just tired of it. Another con for me is probably the cost to get into HPA. So if you wanted to get into HPA, you'd have to buy the engine, which is probably around 300, 400 bucks depending on which one you get. Not mentioning the HPA tank, the regulator, and the line, and the constant air fill that you always have to get whenever you want to play. And that would probably equal out to maybe 500 to 600 bucks just to get started, and then the additional filling up your air every time you want to play.
Wow, Kevin, that's pretty expensive. So
Yeah,
that was your starter gun?
All right, look, I got lucky.
You must be rich.
I got a deal.
I should be your friend.
It was a steal. I'm not that bougie, okay?
So you're gonna buy me lunch today or what?
Nah. So the final con that took me over the line to switching from an HPA to an AEG was the mobility aspect. Now, some of you may know that you have to run a tank either on your back in a backpack or on your belt through a little pouch, but you do have to be connected somehow to your gun through an HPA line. And overall, just running a line for 2 years, I got used to it, but there are some instances where I just thought to myself, ugh, I freaking hate this line. I would get caught up on corners or barriers and just like feel it digging into my side if I wanted to. As I was saying, just consciously thinking about the line being in your way, especially when you're switching shoulders and shooting from your offhand, it would just get in the way all the time and just kind of like get tangled up in it. And of course, like I said, the worry of getting snagged on something, it was just distracting me from my gameplay. And not mentioning the worst aspect of running HPA is having a backpack on your back that just makes you a bigger target. So for me, whenever I would play SpeakyB, there are many times where I would think I'm covered behind a barrier and I hear 3 taps hit my backpack. And just making myself a bigger target was disadvantageous, not good for my gameplay. So overall, after 2 years of running HPA, I ended up buying a PXG9 to get into the AEG platform and had the guys at Airsoft GI build one out for me. But I ended up liking the system so much that I tossed the gearbox from the PXG9 into my combat machine and then put the jack into this one. And I've ended up using the combat machine more, and I haven't really touched this HPA system ever since running that AEG.
Bruh.
So after switching to AEG, I did try spicing up the romance a little bit by decking out the PXG9 with Strike Industries stock, PTS Zev rail, and some other accessories, but it just didn't work. Pretty sad.
Bruh.
Oh, what is this monstrosity?
It's my gun now.
No, just, man, I never thought I'd say this. Can we bring back the HPA gun?
No, I ain't looking back. As I said before, this gun used to be my HPA gun, but I did switch it to an AEG, specifically DSG, and now this is the primary gun that I run all the time. Now that we have the AEG in front of me, I'm going to go over why I prefer the AEG platform over the HPA, and the first one is going to be the ease of use in terms of just plugging in a battery and playing. Like I said before with the HPA, I don't have to worry about filling up a tank every time I want to play. I just have to charge a battery, and that doesn't really cost extra money on my end. And if I have 2 batteries, then I don't have to carry around another tank. And it's just plug and play. I'm good to go and ready for the day. So next pro would probably be performance. And before, when I was running HPA, I couldn't really find a competitor to match the trigger response of my HPA system to an AEG, but the Magician techs at Airsoft GI have done a fantastic job, and now I've been seeing a lot of other people also have great trigger response with their AEGs, and it's pretty similar now.
So, on this question, have you full auto dumped in?
No,
with
never,
the DSG?
never, ever, never. Full auto is for plebs.
I don't know, man. I'm starting to feel like you're not telling the truth.
And another pro would probably be reliability. I've been using this guy for maybe, I think like less than a year. Still enough time to get to know it, but it has been very reliable for me. I haven't had any issues, and I think that a well-built gearbox is as reliable as an HPA system. So the cost of building out an AEG would probably be a big pro for me, and for some of you as well, since if you wanted to upgrade your AEG, you can start by adding a little upgrade at a time, such as maybe upgrading your motor, upgrading your gears, upgrading your spring, piston, things like that. You don't have to go all gung-ho at once to get a very nice working system. Compared to HPA, where you have to buy the whole HPA system and the tank and line regulator, which would cost you maybe $600 just to begin with. But like I said, with AEG, you can start little by little. In my case, I bought my PXG9 and then threw maybe $300 worth of upgrades, parts, and labor into it. And like I said, it's performing almost just as well as an HPA system for about half the cost. Finally, the biggest pro in my opinion of running an AEG system over an HPA system would be mobility, of course. Once I took off the backpack and took off the line and didn't have a tank attached to my back and I just had the gun, I felt so free. Now, this may be counterintuitive since some of you may have started out with an AEG instead of an HPA, but in my case, since I started with HPA, that's all I knew was wearing a backpack and a line running to my gun. But like I said, once I took it off, I could maneuver so much better. I was a slimmer target, and I didn't have to worry about a line getting snagged or getting in my way whenever I'm operating my gun. And I haven't looked back. It's great. So now that we've gone over all of the pros, let's go over some of the cons of running an AEG system, and the first being maintenance. So I am not a tech at all. I wouldn't even think about calling myself a tech. I know nothing about gearboxes, blah, blah, blah. I just sent it into the techs. They did a fantastic job of building it out. But in the case that something were to break in the future, I wouldn't even know where to start to tell them what's wrong with it. So if you are trying to build out an AEG and you don't know anything about building out an AEG, you might want to consult a technician to help you out with it like I did. But if you want to dabble in building out your own AEG, maintenance will be a very big thing to keep in mind, since AEG systems, especially DSG, are under higher stress than an HPA system. So with that being said, whenever I run this gun, I do have in the back of my mind to not push it to its limit and not shoot as much as I would compared to an HPA system, since whenever I run an HPA system, all I have to worry about whenever I shoot is running out of air and not stressing the gun. With this DSG, since it is a DSG, it is under a lot of stress, so if I were to feather it or shoot, very fast, not full auto, shoot very fast, semi-auto, I do feel the motor getting really hot, and of course that is normal, but once it gets really hot, I start to worry about the integrity of the internals, and like I said, I cut back on my shooting, therefore cutting back on my gameplay just a little bit. Lastly, the biggest thing that I miss from running an HPA system compared to an AEG would probably be the trigger response. Of course, like I said, HPA trigger response is unmatched. It is very crisp, very instant, very satisfying. This one is pretty close, but it's not as good as HPA. There is that ever so slight delay of having the gears whir back and having the piston push forward. And you do notice a delay every time you play, but over time you kind of forget about it. But sometimes, man, I just miss the crisp trigger pull of an HPA system. Another little con that may not be a big deal for some of you, but I kind of notice sometimes, would be the weight of the gun. Since in an AEG you do have all those gears and internal pieces that add extra weight to your gun, compared to an HPA where you basically gut it and just put in the HPA system, there is that extra added weight, but it's not too much that it's a big of a deal. But I would say that the sound is another little minor con that gets in the way. Since in AEG you do hear the whirring of your gears, compared to HPA, it's a snap of the air going through your inner barrel. It's very crisp, but give or take. Alright guys, thank you so much for checking out my opinions on why I think AEGs are a better platform than HPA systems. Again, this is just my opinion, but if you are on the fence of going either HPA or AEG route, hopefully my pros and cons list helps you make a better informed decision of which way to go. Again, this is Kevin from Airsoft GI. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do upload every Monday and Friday, so ring that bell icon to be notified of whenever we upload new videos. I'll see you guys next time, maybe on the field. Boaz, you wanna go play?
Yeah.
Right now?
All right.
You wanna borrow one of these guns?
No.
I'm gonna let you borrow this one. This one's mine. You can borrow that one.
No, I'm gonna run my gas on 4.
How lame.
You just got up smash. Happy feet.